Most of us move through the world with a quiet, unexamined assumption that reality is a solid, preformed thing waiting for us when we wake up each morning. It's just there, concrete, predictable, and external to us. We believe that life happens to us, that we are characters dropped into a story already written. And so, we spend our days reacting. We hustle harder. We strategize smarter. And we try to control outcomes with an exhausting, white-knuckled precision, believing that if we can just manipulate the external pieces enough, we'll finally find peace or success. We operate like frantic chess players, trying to anticipate every possible move on a board we believe is fixed. But what if that very act of grasping, trying, and forcing is the one thing that keeps everything from ever truly changing? What if the constant effort to control is the very source of our feeling so out of control? And what if that persistent, low-grade hum of anxiety, the state of high-alert focus, the constant scanning for problems, the endless replaying of past mistakes and future fears isn't a reaction to your reality, but the very mechanism that is quietly, diligently, and powerfully building it. Brick by painful brick, this is where the observer effect enters the conversation. Not with a loud, disruptive bang, but with a profound and reality-altering whisper. It suggests something both deeply unsettling and powerfully empowering. Reality doesn't just present itself to you, finished and complete. It responds to you. It organizes itself around the quality, the texture, and the frequency of your observation. In the next few minutes, we will explore how this is not just an abstract philosophical idea, but a practical, functional tool. We'll journey from the strangest corners of quantum physics to the everyday wiring of your brain to understand this principle. And grasping it is the master key to shifting from a life where you are unconsciously creating a reality of struggle to one where you are consciously observing a reality that brings with it a deep and unshakable internal freedom. This is about moving from being a character in the story to the one who holds the pen. To truly understand how your personal attention shapes your life, we have to travel to the most fundamental, most mysterious level of reality itself. For over a century, physicists have been grappling with a discovery so profound it shatters our common-sense notion of a fixed, out-there universe. Nothing illustrates this quantum weirdness more beautifully or more clearly than the double-slit experiment. Imagine a machine, a sort of quantum cannon, that fires subatomic particles like electrons one by one toward a detector screen. In between the cannon and the screen, there is a solid barrier with two narrow, parallel slits cut into it. First, let's do something predictable. If you cover one of the slits, say the right one, the electrons that are fired fly through the open left slit and land in a single, rough band on the screen behind it. They behave exactly as you'd expect, like tiny, predictable marbles being thrown against a wall. It makes perfect sense. Cover the left slit and open the right, and you get the same result on the other side. Simple enough. But this is the precise moment where our everyday understanding of reality begins to dissolve into a fog of impossibility. When you open both slits, common sense dictates that you should get two distinct bands on the screen, a simple combination of the first two results. But that is not what happens. Instead, a complex and beautiful interference pattern appears, many alternating bands of light and dark, spread across the screen. This pattern is the signature marker of a wave. Think of dropping two pebbles into a still pond. The ripples from each pebble spread out and interfere with each other. Where the peaks of the waves meet, they create a bigger wave. Where a peak meets a trough, they cancel each other out. The interference pattern on the screen is the exact same phenomenon. But how can a single electron, fired one at a time, go through both slits at once and interfere with itself? It's a single marble, isn't it? The only way this is possible is if the electron, when it is unobserved and traveling on its own, isn't a solid thing at all. Imagine it not as a single, solid drop of rain, but as a cloud of mist. That mist can easily drift through both openings at once, its own probabilities interfering with each other. When left to its own devices, the electron exists as a wave of pure potential. At the most fundamental level of reality, things don't seem to exist in a definite state until they are measured. Before that, they exist in a superposition of all possibilities, a vast, shimmering ocean of potential. And now, here is the part that changes everything. Physicists, understandably baffled by this, decided they had to find out which slit each individual electron was actually going through. To do this, they placed a detector next to the slits, a measuring device, whose only job was to record the information of the electron's path. It was a simple act of information gathering. The moment they turned that detector on, the interference pattern vanished completely. As soon as a measurement was made, as soon as information about the electron's path was extracted, the mist of possibility seemed to instantly condense into a single drop of rain. The electrons stopped behaving like mysterious waves and reverted to being predictable little particles again, creating two simple, boring bands on the screen. The very act of measuring, of observing the system to find out what it was doing, forced the wave of potential to choose a single reality. It collapsed the ocean of potential into one definite, concrete drop. This is the observer effect. The act of observation is not passive. It is an interaction that fundamentally alters the system being observed. For decades, this mind-bending result was sometimes misinterpreted to mean that human consciousness itself was what caused this change. But a deeper scientific understanding reveals something even more interesting. The observer in quantum physics doesn't have to be a person, or even conscious at all. Think of it less like a person looking, and more like an automatic turnstile at a train station. The turnstile has no mind, no awareness, but its mechanical act of clicking to count a person passing through is what changes the system from a state of someone might pass to someone has passed. Any interaction, any measurement, any extraction of information is enough to collapse the wave. This clarification makes the discovery even more powerfully relevant to our lives. Because while your consciousness might not be collapsing an electron in a distant lab, the principle operates as a perfect, elegant mirror for how you collapse the field of potential in your own life. Your attention, and more specifically, the quality and focus of that attention, acts as your personal detector. It is the instrument you use to select a single, tangible reality from an infinite sea of possibilities. So, let's bring this astonishing principle out of the physics lab and place it directly into the context of your life. If there is an infinite field of potential all around you, potential for joy, for connection, for abundance, for struggle, for lack, what is the measurement device you are using every single moment of every single day? It's your attention. Where you pay attention is where you place your energy. It's the conduct through which you direct your cognitive and emotional resources. And that focused energy is what determines which possibilities become real, meaningful, and tangible within your lived experience. You are not a passive witness to a pre-written reality. You are an active participant in how your experience of the world takes shape through the focus of your awareness. This isn't just a philosophical idea. It has a direct and powerful biological counterpart in your brain called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. The RAS is a bundle of nerves located in your brainstem, and you can imagine it as the ultimate gatekeeper at the door of your perception. Your senses are taking in a staggering amount of information at any given moment. Some estimates suggest up to 11 million bits per second. But your conscious mind can only handle a tiny fraction of that. Maybe 40 or 50 bits per second. The RAS is the sophisticated filter that sifts through this overwhelming flood of data and only allows what it deems important to get through to your conscious awareness. And how does this gatekeeper decide what's important enough to earn a VIP pass to your consciousness? It goes by the instructions you have programmed it with. Those instructions are your core beliefs, your dominant emotional states, your repetitive thoughts, your deepest fears, and your most cherished desires. Have you ever decided you want to buy a specific model of a red car? And then, suddenly, you start seeing them everywhere you go. Those red cars were always there, driving on the same roads as you. It's just that before you set that intention, your RAS gatekeeper was filtering them out as irrelevant noise. The moment you decided, a red car is important to me, your RAS got the memo and started greenlighting every red car, flagging it for your conscious attention. This is the neurological basis for how your attention quite literally tunes the radio of reality. Your brain is a loyal and non-judgmental assistant. If your mind is constantly set to the problem and scarcity channel, all you will hear throughout your day is evidence of what's wrong, what's missing, and what might go wrong. Even if the opportunity and beauty channel is broadcasting clearly and powerfully right next to it, you won't hear it. Your RAS, in its diligence to serve your focus, will filter it out as static. Your brain will relentlessly scan your environment for evidence to confirm your chosen focus. So, if your default state of attention is tuned to the frequency of lack of money, lack of love, lack of time, your RAS will dutifully and efficiently selectively highlight evidence that reinforces that perception of lack. Opportunities for joy, connection, or abundance may be standing right in front of you. But they will become functionally invisible, filtered out because they don't match the preset frequency of your internal receiver. This brings us to a crucial point. Most of us aren't observing our lives from a calm, neutral, open space of awareness. We are observing from a state of survival. Our modern world has us living in a state of chronic, low-grade fight or flight, a state neurologically characterized by high beta brain waves, which are associated with stress, hypervigilance, and anxiety. Our nervous system is perpetually stuck in alarm mode. In this state, our attention undergoes a dramatic transformation. It ceases to be a wide, gentle floodlight, illuminating the whole landscape of reality. Instead, it becomes a detector calibrated to find one thing and one thing only: danger. It constricts into a narrow, intense, and unforgiving laser beam, scanning the environment not for what is possible, but for what is problematic. When you are an anxious observer, your attention isn't open to the vast ocean of possibilities. It becomes locked onto the single, highest probability of the worst-case scenario. Let's make this painfully real. Imagine you look at your bank account online. An observer in a state of peace and neutrality might just see a number. It's data. information. But the anxious observer doesn't see a number. They see a story of imminent scarcity and failure. Their attention instantly collapses the infinite possibilities surrounding that number, the potential for it to grow, the abundance it already represents, the opportunities it could fund into the single, familiar, and painful reality of not enough. The number becomes a symbol of their deepest fears about worthiness and security. This is the labyrinth we build for ourselves, and then wonder how we got so lost. You feel anxious because of your perceived reality. But your reality is being shaped and solidified the way it is because you are constantly observing it with anxiety. You are, in a very real sense, creating the very effect you believe you are only reacting to. Your state of being is projecting a reality, and then that reality is cited as the proof for why you must maintain that state of being. Think of it in a relationship. If you observe your partner through the filter of your past hurts and insecurities, you will subconsciously tune your detector to find evidence of withdrawal, betrayal, or disappointment. A casual word is instantly interpreted as a slight. A moment of silence is perceived as emotional distance. A busy day becomes proof that you are no longer a priority. Your anxious observation has collapsed the complex, multifaceted human being in front of you into a one-dimensional caricature of your own fear. You are no longer interacting with them. You are interacting with your fear about them. The field of potential is like a perfect, impartial echo canyon. It doesn't judge the quality of the sound you send into it. It doesn't have a preference for joy or for sorrow. If you stand at the edge and scream, "I'm afraid," and alone into the canyon, it won't scream back, "Don't worry. It's okay." It will simply and faithfully return your own echo. Afraid, alone. Afraid, alone. Afraid, alone. It perfectly mirrors the energy you send out. So, how do we finally step out of this self-perpetuating cycle? How do we shift from being an anxious observer, trapped in a feedback loop of our own creation, to becoming a conscious creator? The secret, and this is the most important part, isn't to try and force your attention onto positive things. That can often feel like a battle, a form of denial. Shouting, "I am abundant," while your entire nervous system is screaming, "We are in danger," creates internal conflict, not change. The real, lasting solution is to change the quality of the observation itself. It's about shifting the state of the observer. It's about moving from a tight, stressful, narrow focus to a wide, peaceful, open awareness. Imagine again, your anxious attention is like a laser pointer, narrow, intense, focused on a single point to the exclusion of all else. It's a tool for analysis and threat detection. Now, imagine your true awareness is like a lantern, a soft, diffuse, and gentle light. It doesn't focus on one thing. It illuminates the entire space at once, without effort or judgment. It reveals not just the object of your fear, but the whole room, the windows, the doors, the other people in it. This is the state of creative awareness. This is the metaphorical equivalent of turning off the detector in the double-slit experiment. When you stop obsessively measuring, judging, and analyzing every single aspect of your reality, you allow the wave of potential to remain a wave. You stop forcing it to collapse into the same old particle of your past experiences. You allow for possibilities that your anxious, problem-solving mind could never have conceived of to emerge and exist. This profound shift begins not by changing your thoughts, but by changing your internal state of being. This is where practices like meditation and breathwork become not just nice-to-have wellness activities, but essential, practical tools for reality creation. When you sit in meditation, you are practicing the art of being the true observer. You are not trying to stop your thoughts. You are learning to watch them flow by without identifying with them, like clouds passing in the sky. You have the profound realization: you are not your thoughts. You are the space that is aware of them. You are not your anxiety. You are the deep, profound stillness that is aware of the feeling of anxiety. This is the most powerful shift you can possibly make. You are disentangling your identity from the noise of your mind. In this state of detached awareness, your observation is no longer colored by fear, lack, or past trauma. You are observing the world from a place of wholeness, not from a place of needing something to be different to feel okay. And because you are now observing from a new, coherent state of being, you begin to collapse and draw forth a new, coherent reality. This might sound abstract. So here is a simple, 4-step process designed to help you gently but powerfully recalibrate your attentional instrument from a laser of anxiety to a lantern of awareness. First, get radically curious about your focus. For the next 24 hours, your only job is to notice where your attention is going. Don't try to change it. Don't judge it as good or bad. Simply become a neutral scientist of your own mind. You might set a gentle alarm to go off once an hour, and when it does, ask yourself, in this last hour, what has been the primary object of my attention? Worrying about that upcoming meeting, replaying a past conversation, judging my body, scrolling through social media. This first step is simply about turning off the autopilot and becoming aware of the programs you are currently running. Second, aggressively separate facts from stories. As you move through your day, practice this powerful mental exercise in any given situation. Identify the objective, indisputable fact, and then identify the subjective, emotional story you are layering on top of it. The fact is, there's an email with an urgent subject line from my boss. The story is, I've done something wrong. I'm about to be in trouble, and this is going to be a disaster. The fact is, my partner is quiet tonight. The story is, they are mad at me. I've upset them, and they are pulling away. Recognize that your anxious observation instantly collapsed the neutral situation into a negative story. Your job is to consciously create a space, a pause, between the stimulus and your habitual response. In that space lies your freedom. Third, actively and intentionally tune your radio. The anxious observer's brain is expertly programmed to scan for what's wrong, what's missing, and what's threatening. Your new job is to consciously recalibrate your RAS to begin scanning for what's working, what's beautiful, and what you're grateful for. Set aside 3 distinct moments in your day: morning, noon, and night, for just 60 seconds each, to deliberately hunt for the good. If you desire more abundance, find evidence of the abundance you already have. I have a roof over my head. I have food in the fridge. I have air to breathe. I have a friend who cares about me. The key is to feel genuine, embodied gratitude for these things. Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It is the electromagnetic frequency of abundance and reception. Fourth, gently soften your physical gaze. The anxious observer has a hard, narrow stare. The conscious observer has a soft, open gaze. Several times a day, especially when you feel stress or tension rising, deliberately stop what you are doing. Physically soften your eyes. Allow your peripheral vision to open up and expand. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Take one deep, slow breath. This simple sequence of physical actions sends a powerful signal directly to your nervous system that says, "We are safe right now." You are physically turning down the intensity of the threat detector, which allows new, non-threatening information to finally flow in. As you commit to this daily practice, you are doing something extraordinary. You are fundamentally changing the observer. And because the observer and the observed are inextricably linked, the world you observe must begin to change. That relationship that felt hopelessly stuck in a loop of conflict begins to shift. As you practice being a calm, non-judgmental observer, you stop showing up to conversations armed with the wounds of your past. You learn to separate the fact your partner's words from the story, your fearful interpretation, because you haven't already collapsed the situation into a problem before it's even begun. You can approach with genuine curiosity instead of accusation. Your calm observation has created an open space for authentic connection to finally emerge. This is the power of neuroplasticity in action. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself based on your experiences and focus. Every time you consciously shift your attention from a fear-based story to neutral observation, or from a problem to a point of gratitude, you are physically weakening the old, well-worn neural pathways of anxiety and strengthening new neural pathways of peace. Think of it like forging a new path in a dense forest. At first, it's difficult, and the old path is much easier to take. But with consistent repetition, the new path becomes clearer, wider, and eventually, the new default. You do not consistently experience what you merely want. You tend to experience what your nervous system is organized to perceive and respond to. You attract who you are, and who you are is determined, moment by moment, by where you place your observation. We have journeyed from the deepest mysteries of the quantum world to the most practical and intimate applications in our daily lives. Yet the message is simple, elegant, and profoundly empowering. Your focus is a creative force. Your attention is not passive. Your patterns of attention influence which possibilities become perceptible, actionable, and real to you. The universe is not for you or against you. It is simply a mirror, a vast and impartial field of energy that perfectly reflects the state of the one who is looking. So, the question is no longer, what is my reality? The real question, the only question that matters, becomes, what reality will I choose to observe into being today? The power has always been there, quietly waiting within you. Now, you know how to use it. If this exploration resonated with you, you're welcome to continue exploring these ideas here. And if you feel inclined, you might share a single word in the comments, not as a declaration, but as a quiet orientation for yourself. Thank you for your attention. Now, go and begin to observe differently.